to introduce ourselves. I'm Mariana Miller. I was in like Dragon Age and
does anyone want a mint? Okay, sorry.
I was in like a Dragon Age web series. I was in Tween Witches, Avalon Code, Full Metal Alchemist. And one line. Yes.
Hi guys. Oh wow, that's loud. I'm Julie Ray Goldstein. I've been in anime like Nanoha, Paradise Kiss, Tweeny Witches. I've done video games like Magna Carta 2, Majin and the Forsaken Kingdom, and others that cannot be talked about.
I'm Jessica Strauss, and I've done more games than anime, but I've done, anime that you've known. A while back I did Dune and Nuke in Appleseed, and Blue in Wolf's Rain, and a bunch of other side characters that you may or may not have heard. And then I'm in Transformers, Street Fighter 4, the Super Street Fighter 4, Dot Hack, lots of games, tons of games.
Yeah.
My name is Christina. Right now I'm working on Kaon as Mio. I was Noelle in Blaze Blue 1 and 2. And let's see, a bunch of projects coming up, and but still definitely more video games than anime these days. Yep.
So we'll give it over to the room to see if you guys have any questions. Anybody? Don't be shy, we don't bite.
We weren't prepared.
Ask this question like right off the bat so we can just get it out of the way. But, I've been trying to break into like stage and on-camera acting for a long time, but I'm kind of a weird-looking person and I'm 6 feet tall, so I don't really get a lot of roles. So when I was 19, when I was a teenager, I started really getting into anime more as a fan, and I was like, this might be cool doing voiceover and stuff. I'm weird, and I don't have to worry if I have tattoos or piercings. So, I started talking to a lot of voice actors and getting their stories and figuring out how they did it. And I drove out to Dallas, and they just so happened to be recording the Full Metal Alchemist movie that weekend. So the director called me up, and he was like, hey, do you want to do some Walla? And I was like, okay. So I did like background noises, and the fact that I did that, really helped when I came back to California after my random road trip. Came back to California, and I was like, dear studios, I was in such movies as Full Metal Alchemist and the others you'll have to ask because they are so secret that no one knows about them. So yeah, it's just about meeting people, for me, anyway.
For me, I did theater in college. I studied theater arts, and by the time I was ending college, I went to Anime Expo 2005 and competed in AX Idol, and I ended up winning the voice acting portion for AX Idol 2005. And from that, I started getting my first couple auditions, and then I moved to LA, started working on stuff, made a demo, started sending that out to studios, started getting more calls, started sending it out to agents, got an agent, got more auditions, got more work, and the cycle continues.
I too started in college on stage, and I got a BFA in theater arts. And then I came down to LA and I did the whole on-camera stage actress thing. I didn't even know I was going to get into voiceover. So I definitely was a character actress, and I think the reason I got the most work in voiceover is I didn't have to look the part. So, because I'm not an action hero. Only 5'1", So, actually, I just got more work in voiceover. So I kind of fell into it after a career of trying to get into on-camera. But I was so appreciative for the work, and I have to say it's so much fun that I'm actually glad I ended up in voiceover as opposed to the on-camera career. People are so nice. So that's how I got into it and started getting work.
I started pretty young going to anime conventions because I was a fan. I was also an actor. And I was doing like online voice acting since I was maybe 12. like, you know, like what you see on YouTube now, like a bridge series. Well, kind of like that, but except the technology was a lot worse. And yeah. And so I did that, and so when I had the chance to meet people from Bang Zoom at a convention, they really liked my voice. They knew that I had been working, it was something I was working at, so I got to audition for them. And yeah, so doing that, and then you meet other people in the industry, and you get to audition for other studios and just kind of branch out. And also, just keeping up with the whole online aspect has also helped me get roles too. So that's how I started.
Maybe this should be females napping.
You know what? It helps if you have a microphone, huh?
Yeah.
Passing around the room, because you guys,
Yeah.
Does anybody else have any questions?
Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of you have a background in theater, so in theater for women, it seems like the competition is much higher. There's a lot more women trying to get much fewer roles than there are men. Do you find the same thing in voiceover? Is the dynamic pretty much the same? Is it different?
Well, I mean, it's not, so in my experience, it's not as competitive because in voiceover, if you don't get the part, you really can't take that personally because obviously like Julie and I don't sound anything alike, Jessica and I don't really sound anything alike, and Christina and I don't really sound anything alike. So there's not as much competition, but there's still a lot of women fighting for not as many roles. And I think that's just because like, in present day even, there's just not that many productions that feature women or have very many women parts. It's still a boys game in my opinion.
I think the other thing too is even within women, there are very specific branches for different types of characters that end up happening. For example, I do theater, film, and voiceover as well, and for everything I'm kind of already in this niche because I'm 6 feet tall. So when I get called in for theater or for film, I kind of already have that one type of character that they call me in for. It's usually badass, biatch type of character for camera. And oddly enough, that's also kind of what I get called in for voiceover because I can get my voice to go down this low, which there's probably as many girls who do it naturally as fingers I have on my hand.
my turn. I'm gonna go in order all the time. You know, the business is, I just started going back to teaching voiceover. So I have a couple of students and I tell them that even though the business is competitive, if you really have a passion for it, then you can get out there and get the work. It's really wanting to do it and knowing the business side of the business as well as the acting. And that's something that they don't teach you in college, is the business side. And that is not necessarily always as much fun as the artistic side, but as I've been in the business for a while, I had to learn skills of marketing and how to talk to people about what you want to do. It is more competitive for women, I think, because there are more roles for guys. I mean, look at some of the war games, it's all men, although I've been in a few war games, but there was more guys, you know? So, but you can't think about that. You have to think about what your passion is and where you think you belong in the industry, and then make a stand for that. And just go, well, who cares if it's competitive? I'm gonna do it anyway, you know?
Yeah, going off of that, I've seen so many people who have just had the passion for it and who were just working at it, and I've seen people get roles, like huge roles, and they're fans that come to conventions and things, and they've like taken off. So it's definitely possible. You do have to have the passion, you have to be able to put in the work, and it's hard work, and it's kind of like a tunnel vision almost, where you just have to keep your eye on the goal and just keep working at it, because if you do have passion, I really believe that things will start happening eventually. It takes time sometimes.
Just make sure that you have a really wide range, and that way it'll be easier for you.
Or you could be like the homeless guy that just got discovered. I mean, I don't know how long he's gonna last, but you know.
He's in a house now.
Yeah, house.
He has a house, it happens fast.
Yes.
You mentioned talking about demo tape. What do you put on your
character voices. How would you compose your demo? How did you compose your demo?
I mean, I don't know. I'm the old lady of the group, so I kind of know. These guys you guys have demos, right? Yeah. Okay, so demos are something that you would do after you know what you're good at and you know what you're competitive at in the market. Now, if you're in the LA market, but you want to put anything that you're really good at on your demo. And if you're a character actress, you want to put range. If you're not a character actress, you want to put a subtle range on your demo for your commercial demo and also for your acting demo. But you want to research the business and your competition before you put a demo together because they're expensive, you know? But a demo should be what you're the most comfortable doing, and also it should be as interesting as possible. So if you make a demo too soon, then if you spent a lot of money on it, then down the road, you know, it may not represent you well. So if you're just getting into the business, but you can always add on to the demo, but it basically should be what you're best at.
Another note about demos, well, a couple notes about demos. First of all, there are different kinds of demos that you could do. There's commercial demo if you want to do commercials. The note with commercial demos is it's more about personality than range. So on your commercial demo, you're not going to put like wacky, homeless, crazy lady, as well as, you know, subtle, shy little girl. It's more about showcasing your personality and just different aspects of your personality. Animation demos where you're going to put all that wacky stuff. Another note is if you're trying to get an agent, if that's part of the reason you're trying to put together a demo, agents are not going to listen to your CD or your MP3s unless you have a commercial demo, because commercials is where the money is in the market. Animation is fun and awesome, but it doesn't pay quite as much as commercials. It's not quite as lucrative. So for agents, they really want to hear your commercial demo first.
And when we say voices, it's not just about making a silly voice. You have to have a full emotional range within that voice. Because, and you know, knowing what you're good at, like I'm good at little boys. So I have about 2 or 3 little boy voices, but they're different little boys. There's like the evil little boy, and then the stereotypical little boy, and then the like, you know, I don't know, but so you have to make sure that you have and you can show that range within that voice, because you know anyone can talk in a voice, but not everyone can talk in a voice believably.
And also you don't have to do it alone too. What I'm doing right now for my new commercial demo is the person who's putting it together for me. He's working with me beforehand. Like we're doing, it costs extra money, but we're going through. Copy, that's what it's called. And so he's going to put it together from what he feels is like the best. So you don't have to be completely alone on it, but yeah, it does take a little bit of money and saving up.
Yeah, on that note, a place you can look at is voiceoverresourceguide.com, and it'll actually list all the people and studios that produce demos for the area that you're in, and you can kind of go to somebody and pay a lot of money and get a professionally produced demo. That's highly what I recommend rather than making your demo yourself, especially if you're going into a competitive market like LA or New York.
Yeah, so the key, if you want to get into animation, is probably acting. So even if you would do voices, like if you're a natural, you might be lucky and get in. But always people are doing something, whether it's going to college and doing stage work, or
I didn't go to college or anything. I just kept auditioning.
So some people just keep auditioning, but they just go at it, and otherwise they're always working on it ahead of time before they get to making the demo. And yeah, it takes some work before. Yeah.
Yes, over here in the back.
I was wondering, are there any future projects you can discuss, if any?
Future projects. That's very rare because a lot of the times you can't talk about them before they're released. Do you guys have anything you can talk about?
I do. Go ahead.
The one thing I would really like to plug is I'm involved with, this isn't anime, but I'm involved with V-Day LA this year, which is a production of the the Vagina Monologues. That's in mid-February, and it's for a great cause, and so you should go to vday.org and check it out and go see it.
There's a Korean company that doesn't do, I think it's Sunwoo Entertainment. I have to make sure that that's right. But I'm doing Mixmaster 2, which is a series that they're still trying to sell. But they want me to talk about it, which is really odd. Yeah, and they've already online put up some of the first episodes. So you can actually Google it on YouTube, and there's like 7-8 minutes. And I do like an evil chick and a yellow flying chicken. So, oh yeah. So that show is not on yet, and we're still recording it. And I had to double check to make sure we could talk about it, but he wanted me to. So, it's a fun show.
The one thing I can talk about is K-On! Because it's been announced. And yeah, it's been really fun. It's definitely a challenging show because even though it's anime, it plays out more like a, how do you say it? It's just very subdued, so it's almost like it's not very character-y at all, and that kind of took me a while to get used to because this character is, even though she's an anime, it's really like realistic, and the acting style was completely different. But yeah, it's going great, and the dub sounds really amazing so far. I'm very, very shy. Well, less so now, but when I first started out, I was extremely shy. And it's kind of, you have to really want to be able to get better. So it never goes away, like the anxiety before going up on stage. Even I just finished my theater degree, and every time I would go up, it would be like, but it's just it's another skill that you have to develop for yourself is being able to, they're like actor exercise and stuff, being able to put that aside and just focus on the work at hand. But like anything, it gets easier with practice.
What helped me really develop my social skills was working at theme parks, or any sort of customer service job really, because it forces you to be friendly and talk to people. But Disneyland especially is like super anal about being like, you're always happy, you always have to talk to people and always get on eye level with children, and you have to always have something to say and be amazing. Do it for minimum wage. Oh well, congratulations.
What department?
Disney World in Florida is Disney World. Disneyland is here in California.
Yeah. What department?
I'm gonna be main entrance, so I'm gonna be.
So you're really gonna be talking to people.
Yeah.
I had a Disney job. They made me say, have a G golly galactic great day after. I worked at Interventions in Tomorrowland. That was
Really? I didn't
yeah.
They didn't make me do that.
They made me do that.
She's on the standard.
Yeah, Christina and I also used to be skippers on the Jungle Cruise. If you've ever gone to Disneyland or Disney World on the Jungle Cruise, which, you know, that actually, for me as an experience, it really opened me up because you kind of had to be in a very enclosed space
for
with
10 minutes.
10 minutes with 40 people, and you're in a boat
And you have
in the middle of the jungle.
and your
It's like,
objective is to make them laugh. It's very difficult when you're trying to be funny. I don't know, that was hard for me.
I don't think any of the students actually think they're funny.
Yeah.
I mean, another good thing, I worked at Universal Studios for 3 years as a character. The Halloween events really, like, I know Florida has it, but I think Universal's the only one that has a year-round scary maze, but that will make you like not care what anyone thinks about you, because personally I was wearing a fat suit all day and I was going around going ah! like all the time, so I don't care what anyone thinks about me anymore because I wore a fat suit. So.
Yeah, I think it is just because I used to be shy too. I used to have a lot of anxiety before, you know, you get your heart, it's like jumping out of an airplane every time you go in, especially for voiceover, because you don't know what you're going to do. It's just like, okay, here we go, you know? And I think some of the stuff that I learned in theater, a lot of the body work and the breath work really helps ground me, because if you do a sort of warm-up, kind of like an athlete, then you're kind of in your zone before you start. And so there are things that you can do physically to get yourself in your body and also focus your energy only on the character, even if you got the nerves going, because you can focus that into the acting and it actually helps you. Okay?
Stay away from caffeine, it doesn't help.
No, caffeine doesn't help, yeah.
And it dries your throat.
Yeah, you do.
Would you happen to know anything about, particularly not about what goes on? Not with the, obviously what they're doing is what goes on regarding people in the back, guys running the
What goes on with what?
tents.
Oh, the sound tech.
Do we know about that?
What do you
Do
want
you
to
know anything like what you need in order to work?
Oh.
Like mic techniques?
No Pro Tools.
No, to become a sound engineer?
I would just like send out, I don't know how to, I'm not exactly an expert, but I would just send out letters asking for an internship maybe at first to all the big companies. But yeah, there's a lot of work for sound guys. They're always telling me, yeah, it's the only, it's the only job you can work consistently in the entertainment industry is like doing like engineering stuff. So yeah, there's a lot of work for guys out there like that. I'd say just send out your resume and a cover letter, I guess, like any of the jobs you need.
What about letters of recommendation?
That too, yeah.
There's a number of schools in this area that actually teach sound engineering. A couple of them fairly cheaply. Golden West College, which is a community college in Orange County, has a sound engineering program, which is very well respected, and they help you with placement.
Do you have skills that you already
I
do?
worked on some sound work.
Right, so then that's already on your resume.
Not mixing anything in the
Oh.
I'd say just go for it.
So if you know I would get the programs that they use right now and know those inside and out, and then you get internships or you might even get jobs once you learn them.
They might want.
Thank you for the autograph, for the autograph, Christina.
Awesome, no problem.
Yeah.
They might want like a demo of your skills too. Like I know sometimes they for script writers, like anime script writers, a couple of friends of mine were doing like production demos where they wrote and time coded their own script, and then they would submit the script they not fan dub the thing because it's obviously not a fan dub, but they would like dub over the thing so that the production companies could hear how the voices sounded, speaking the words and etc. So they might want something similar to do with that with mixing, like here's a clip that I mixed,
Yeah, that's a really great idea. Like really make it
As
pop.
far as working like I work in the office, like I'm an IT person. So I was wondering if,
Yeah, we can't hear you.
I can't hear.
Did you say like, is there any like volunteer work?
No, I am currently interning.
Oh, okay.
That's good.
Yeah, I mean that's the best way to go, really, is internship, and then
I'm not even getting paid, doing it.
Yeah, that's the way to go. Yeah.
Okay, I have a question directed more towards Christina B. What compelled you to do all those fan pieces like Thank Me Does For and dubbing that plays in comic?
Oh, are you talking about like the YouTube stuff?
Yeah.
Well, I just really enjoyed acting, and I posted this one video because somebody asked me to sing a song, and it got 2 million views. It was really amazing having that, and I just found out that I just discovered that singing was something I really love to do, so I just kept doing it, and I loved having the original Japanese song that I could dub into English, because when I first started, there weren't many of those out there, so I just really loved doing it. And as for the Blazin comic, somebody emailed me a link to that, and I thought it was so funny, and the second Blaze Blue game had just come out, and people were just emailing me like, thank you so much for doing a great job, and I was like, I want to do something for them. So I just asked my significant other to mix it for me and add some cute little animations, and we just had a lot of fun. It was just, but it took me a few months to actually get the guts to post it, so.
I like how you called them your significant.
My boyfriend.
Well, I enjoyed this, so thank you.
Thank you.
In fact, I actually wrote like this Christmas Blaze Blue thing up on does food forums. I'm photo aggregator. And me and a friend are trying to get like a Sprite comic up for that, and we sort of want you to like drop this one line, sort of a parody of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Bridge series of this one character that says I after love and penguin. And at one point we need you to say I after love.
Email me.
Yeah?
Jessica said something very interesting a little while ago about about going in and you don't know what you're going to do when you do voice acting. Does this mean there's no rehearsal? Does this mean you don't know what character you're going to play? They just call you in? What's the experience actually like doing the dub?
You know, it depends on the project. Sometimes you get the script in advance because you audition for it, right? So you have an idea, but then sometimes you just get cast and you don't know what you're getting cast as. So especially in anime stuff, that's happened quite a bit. You rely on the characters that you developed. For me, I rely, because I'm a character actress, I rely on the characters I've developed before on stage, in other projects. You rely on your instincts when you're in the session, because sometimes they'll just say, okay, we have this character for you to do. What kind of voice do you want to do for her? And so the more range you have, I guess the more you can work, or the more specific you are, and the more people really love your voice, then that gets you more work and more lead roles. So it just depends. So the improvisation, being able to create on the spot or rely on old characters and build on them, that's what I was talking about for, yeah. And also take direction, that is so important. So important, because you think you go in and go, oh, this is how I did in the audition, and they'll want, we liked what you did, but can you do it this way? And they'll totally direct you another way.
Yeah. And also, being a positive person too really helps. I guess, what's my point? It just
be nice to work with.
Yes, be nice to work with, that's the thing. So you want to be a positive person and just know that when people are giving you, like, adjusting you or asking for many retakes, that it's not really your fault. It's just you're trying to look for a specific thing. Just have patience and be easy to work with.
Yeah, the one thing I was going to say is just trust the director for a lot of anime and video games, because most of that stuff, we just get calls and they'll be like, yeah, we have this anime or a video game. Can you come in at this day and this time? And so you go in and you first see the character like right before they throw you into the booth. So just trust the director, they know what they're doing, and follow direction to the dot.
Yeah, sometimes you don't even get a picture. Like for Avalon Code, I just got a vocal reference. And so later on when I was doing my own research, because I wanted to know what it was, I had to like guess as to what character I was. I'm like, well, he looks like he might be someone I could have voiced. So it's all guesswork.
How do you... Oh God, please don't.
Okay.
No, it's just my hair is really off today.
I'll cut off your hair. No, I'm kidding.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Oh, now I'm embarrassed.
I'm sorry.
When it comes to expanding your your repertoire and your skill set with voices and whatnot, what exercises do you do? And by the way, before you leave today, I have free stuff for you.
Free stuff?
Yes.
Free stuff, wow.
Free stuff.
Well, we'll get to that
like
later.
a trip to Hawaii?
Range. How do you develop your range?
I personally took a lot of, I'm a classically trained singer, and I found that helped open up, because before I started, got trained, I was more of an alto, and then after I got trained, I was a high soprano. So just singing for me personally, now if you're tone deaf, and I don't know what to do, but singing for me really opened up that upper range, and it allowed me to use it comfortably for characters that, you know, for little boy voices or crazy cartoon voices or whatever. And it allows you to use it longer without, you know, running out of air, or not air, but killing yourself. This is killing yourself, apparently.
One thing that I love that kind of always helps me when I'm in a rut is, well, there's two different things that I use. Number one, listen to other voices and kind of try to replicate it, and even if it doesn't come out exactly like the voice that you're trying to replicate, it'll come out as something unique and you might be able to use it. The best example I give of this is, how many of you have watched South Park? Probably a ton of you. Yeah. Kenny's mom, Mary Kay Bergman, who originally did all the female voices on South Park, Kenny's mom was originally Mary Kay's impression of Bill Clinton, and even though it sounds nothing like Bill Clinton, it's such a unique character that it worked. The other thing that I recommend is try pushing your voice out from different parts of your body, because focusing your voice on, let's say, your eyes is going to sound a lot different than, let's say, if you bring it down from the diaphragm or if you bring it from the top of your head.
Singing lessons, I agree.
Yeah, singing.
Oh, shit. Sure.
I agree.
It's either singing lessons, working with a microphone, like stand-up comedians work with mics, and then also being on stage and doing different characters, because there's a lot of vocal work that goes with stage, right, training. So the one thing you want to be careful of is actually feeling the vibration of the voice in your head without straining. So you want to be completely relaxed as possible when you're doing a voice that's completely different from yours, and imagine yourself being that person as opposed to forcing it. So then it doesn't, when you get to the session, you're not straining your voice and losing the character. So ultimately, you want to be able to relax into a new voice as opposed to, you find it and push for it, but you want to have the key of relaxing into it and just allowing it to overcome your body and your breath and affect you physically, emotionally, mentally. Yes.
And singing lessons will help you understand how to control that resonance. So.
Yeah, and there's stage work, there's all this breath work that you do and vocal work if you do stage training and singing, and if you're doing stand-up comedy, you're probably practicing on the characters and stuff. So.
Improv is awesome for developing your characters. Any other questions? Yes.
I just wanted to know, is the recording process different between doing animation and video games?
Yeah. In anime, it's all ADR, so they'll have stuff up there already, like the visual, and then they'll play you a preview track, and then you'll be expected to, then they'll play it once, and then they'll play it without the Japanese vocal. So they'll expect you to dub over that, and then in most of the video games that I've done, it's all do it within a certain amount of time. So there's no visual unless it's a cutscene. Then it's in Japanese video games, it's similar to anime if it's a cutscene. But if it's fight noises, then there's no visual, and they'll be like, okay, just make sure you don't go past the 5-second mark or whatever.
It's weird recording for video games sometimes because you just have, basically, it looks like a wall of text. You're just staring at a computer screen and it's just text for hours. You're just looking at a computer screen. And I remember this video game I was just doing maybe a month or two ago. I think we were recording for 14 or 15 hours, and at the end of the last session, we had ADR, which was Matt doing it to picture. And I remember just thinking oh yeah, that's right. It's these characters that people are going to see and bring to life. And it was just one of those moments where it's kind of, I didn't forget about the character, but then you just don't realize what an impact to have sometimes when they're fully animated. And I think sometimes when you're recording, it's easy to just get lost in the wall of text, and you kind of just forget that the end product is going to look completely
Yeah, kind of going off what Christina says, for video games, you kind of have to actually trust the director even more, because you don't know what's going on in a certain scene. In animation, in anime specifically, because it's ADR, you see exactly what's going on. For example, I was doing a video game a couple months ago, and I just saw one piece of text that was more of a fight noise, and the character was yelling a line during a fight, and I just kind of did a little bit of fight noises and did the line, and then the director goes, Julie, actually what's going on is this one guy has his arm around your neck and somebody else is holding you back. So now go. So you kind of have to be able to visualize it a lot more because you don't have that in front of you. You just have the script.
Because I've done a lot of video games, the one thing that I had to get good at is doing the line a bunch of different ways really quickly. So at first when you start out, it's like, okay, can you read that line but give us 3 different reads? And then after a while they just want 2 different reads, and then as you get into a rhythm, it becomes 1 read. It depends on the studio that you're working on. And sometimes they'll just work a line, they'll just want to have it 5, 10 different ways, it just depends. And you don't know what's going on, but you have to be able to subtly adjust the line. And for anime, it is right in front of you, but you just get a couple of beats before you talk. And then you have to figure it out and react right away. But if it's animation, for American animation, I've done a couple of those, and it's really fun because you get to work with other actors, and it almost feels like stage work again for me. And it's fun to be in the studio with other actors and responding, but you can't step on their lines. You have to wait for them to finish because they can't edit over that. They'll do that in the studio. So there is that